Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and Derby week never fails to live up to expectations, does it? Because we've not just got the Derby to talk about this weekend, we've got players being linked with Celtic, we've got news regarding current Celtic players, we've got the referee announcements for the game. There's a whole lot to cover, so please bear with me, sit back, enjoy yourself, and let's try and cover all of that. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. It's a big week. It's one of the biggest weeks of the season and one of the biggest weeks in recent years for Celtic as we head into Ibrox this weekend. A title deciding game perhaps. It's a must win for us. So a lot to talk about. We're going to try and cover it all. As I said, like and subscribe. Let's do this. So we've had the announcement as to who will referee the game this Sunday against Rangers at Ibrox. And it's none other than the man himself, John Beaton. A little over a month since that meeting at Tynecastle, which seen Brendan Rodgers openly criticise the abilities of John Beaton, who was on VAR that afternoon, if you remember, some controversial VAR calls. Of course, the red card that was given to Yang in the game, the penalty decisions on both sides. It wasn't the greatest of performances from the on-field referees or the VAR officials. In fact, Brendan Rodgers criticised them that much that he was given a ban from the touchlines, which could have seen him suspended for the game at Ibrox this Sunday. But as we all know, the ban was overturned. He was allowed back to the pitch side area from the stands for this game, and he'll be meeting up with John Beaton already, in which I'm sure will be a tasty encounter. John Beaton will be joined on Sunday by linesmen Daniel McFarlane and Dougie Potter. Nick Walsh will be controlling VAR. Frank Connor will assist him on VAR. Willie Collum will also be there as fourth official for the game. So the whole squad are out. Every one of them we love so much. Willie Collum, John Beaton, Nick Walsh. Christ, what a day for Celtic, isn't it? But that's your officials for the game. Very interesting that they have decided to match up Brendan Rodgers with John Beaton so soon after the incident which seen Brendan Rodgers suspended from Livingston and from the touchline area on Sunday against Livingston. Also interesting because of the magnitude of the game. Now, if we were going into this weekend playing St Mirren, who we play the following week, you know, I could probably understand it. But I'm actually quite surprised that they've been put back together for this game at the weekend, considering it's not just any normal derby either. It's a derby which could determine who goes on to lift the league title this season. And after his very open and honest criticism, you've got to wonder, will there be words exchanged pre or post game? I'm sure that Brendan Rodgers will be watching everything under a magnifying glass, and I'm sure that John Beaton will have the pressure on himself and his whistle to make sure that he makes the right decisions. This is a game where decisions have to be spot on, and that won't happen. I can guarantee it right now. We won't see spot on decisions. We will see decisions that we will talk about for days after the game, weeks after the game, no matter who it affects, whether it be Rangers or Celtic, in a positive or negative light. There will be decisions that will be spoke about that will change the course of this game. There will be VAR calls which won't be easy to agree with. It's just the nature of the beast, especially when you head into a game of this magnitude. But yeah, that's your referees. Take it as you like. Listen, at the end of the day, I just look at them the same way as the last referee that we have. You know, I think they're all as bad as each other. I think the quality is really poor, and I don't think it matters which one referees the game, because I think we just get the same poor quality no matter who. So yeah, take it as you like, but Brendan Rodgers will be back with John Beaton this weekend. Talking about the derby this weekend, and we're going to be doing a lot more previewing and discussing of the game itself come tomorrow, Thursday on the podcast, and Friday. But there's been a lot of conversation about a certain individual, that individual being Ali McLeish, media extraordinaire, of course, one of the top commentators in the game right now, depending who you ask. He's found himself in a little bit of bother with some of his comments heading into this game at the weekend in regards to the new law that was passed in Scotland surrounding hate speech or hate crimes. Now, I'm not going to get into the political side of things. This is not the place to talk about laws being passed by the Scottish Government. It's not that kind of channel. I'm not going to get into it. But here's an interesting quote from Ali McLeish ranting about this new law being passed. He said, "I can guarantee you next Sunday at Ibrox, I, along with 48,000, will be committing a breach of that hate bill." Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like a snowflake. I'm not, because I'm not that kind of guy. I've said for years, the back and forth and everything that happens in the stadium is the nature of the beast, and it's what happens at the game. And I don't think that we need to sit and analyse this and dissect it bit by bit. But very interesting how not a lot has been made out of it, considering his place in the media. Alan McLeish is one of the top dogs when it comes to commentary and analysis. And I think that this is one of these comments that will maybe fly under the radar, but maybe shouldn't at the same time. It's a strange one. A really strange one that he's hit out with it in such confidence. Listen, there's nothing wrong at all with a bit of back and forth and rat-a-ta between supporters and a bit of banter and all the rest of it. But, openly admitting that he's going to be breaching the hate bill when he's in the position that he's in, I don't think he's thought it through. And listen, I've never been a huge fan of Ali McLeish. I'm not one of those ones that sit there and say, oh, he's one of the good guys. I don't mind him. I don't necessarily think that myself. But this is something that I think a lot of people are now starting to see with comments like this. Really strange one. It's just quite frustrating because in a couple of weeks where we've seen Hibs, for example, come out and talk about fans being banned from the stadium or reducing away allocations because of things being chanted and sung at matches, and then you've got someone who's lauded as a national hero coming out and hitting out with comments like that, when he's probably on the side of all of us as fans, saying that Hibs shouldn't be doing that and clubs shouldn't be taking away tickets. But he says something like that, which completely, it's so unhelpful. It doesn't help the case of Celtic or Rangers supporters who are trying to look out for the best of the game. Really, really ill thought out from your man McLeish. That's all I'll say to it. Right, we'll leave the derby for now because we have a few days where we will talk about that in more depth. We're going to talk about some transfer stories that are bubbling away quietly in the background. First off, we'll start with Adam Ida. An exclusive was broke this afternoon by Mark Hendry of Football Scotland. This was the headline saying that Adam Ida's Celtic permanent transfer has been weighed up as Norwich consider Sidney van Hooijdonk decision. Essentially, the article goes on to say that no decision will be made until the summer. Football Scotland revealed that no future fee, of course, has been agreed between the two clubs, but can confirm that Norwich are waiting to see how their own loan swap fares before now and this summer. Effectively, Sidney van Hooijdonk hasn't come in and fired on all cylinders. He's yet to score for Norwich in a side, 11 appearances. I don't think that Norwich are convinced in spending the money and bringing him in permanently, which means that Adam Ida might return to the club to become an option should he continue scoring goals for Celtic. I don't think there's an awful lot in the story that's breaking news that's huge enough to sit here and warrant a full breakdown or discussion. I think it's more just kind of giving us the idea that we maybe had in our heads already that would be evaluated in the summer. I don't think Celtic are in any rush to go in and sign Adam Ida permanently, to be quite honest with you. I like him and I like the signs that there's a player there. But I don't think that there's any need for us to rush in and spend money on him, especially when there isn't a future fee there and Norwich could demand whatever they want, really. So, yeah, no advancements yet on the status of him becoming a permanent Celtic player. That's one that will be evaluated and looked at in the summer. And, we'll see, because there's still, 7 games to play? So, it's a big 7 games for Adam Ida. And on that note, 2 players already being linked with Celtic for the summer window. On top of the couple that we spoke about, there's been a goalkeeper here or there been brought up, and a couple of names that have flew by and just kind of passing wind, if you like. A couple of headlines broke this morning / last night. This is one of them. Edouard being linked with the club, a Krasnodar player scouted by Celtic with a European switch top of his agenda. The article went on to say that Edouard Spertsian has been linked with a summer move to Celtic. A £13 million move to Newcastle has been touted for the Armenian playmaker, whilst Ajax were also linked last season. However, his asking price has since dropped significantly, and reports in Russia claim the 23-year-old is being monitored by the Scottish Premiership champions. Krasnodar star Spertsian, who has 2 years left in his deal and 25 caps for his country, is the Armenian national team's star man after making the breakthrough and becoming the youngest ever Armenian to play Champions League football. We spoke about this very briefly on the stream last night. We looked at some of his stats as a Krasnodar player, an attacking midfielder. His stats look quite good. He scores goals, he makes goals, he seems like quite an effective number 10. He's also able to play on the wings if need be, but primarily an attacking midfielder, and apparently Celtic now looking at him. This one could be plucked out of thin air. It's reports coming from Russia. There isn't too much else to suggest there's a lot of truth in it. £13 million seems to be the price tag that was dubbed, was labelled to him. He was dubbed worth that. Will that be significantly dropped? Who knows? Because if it isn't significantly dropped, I can guarantee right now there's no chance that he'll be a Celtic player. But it's one to keep an eye on over the next few weeks. And another one that popped up in the tabloids was this: ex-Chelsea ace and QPR star Jake Clarke-Salter at the centre of a three-way Premier League transfer battle, with the article going on to say that Crystal Palace, Burnley and Wolves are looking at Jake Clarke-Salter, and then later revealing that he's also attracted interest from both Celtic and Ipswich. He's been playing for QPR this season. He's been capped 12 times by the English under-21 side. He's been one of QPR's better players this season. The centre-half seems to be doing quite well. 29 appearances for QPR in the English Championship so far this campaign, and looked at by Premier League clubs for a reason. Looks quite impressive. His statistics read quite well as too, and of course Celtic need more centre-half. So is it one that we will realistically look at? Is it one we realistically have a chance of signing with Premier League clubs looking at him? You just got to wait and see. But yeah, could be the next Celtic centre-half. I don't know. Once again, just like we said with Edouard a minute ago, it's a name just to look out for in the next few weeks. Both of these stories we've spoke about there, both in relation to Clarke-Salter and Edouard is complete pinch of salt stuff. So keep that in mind. And that's it. Actually, quite a few things to talk about today, but I feel like we've managed to make it to the end in relatively detailed fashion. I've tried to fly through the stories and give it a kind of quick overview of everything that's going on, and I hope that that's been enough for you. We'll be back tomorrow to discuss whatever else is in the news, so make sure to check it out. The podcast will be up Thursday while I'm flying to Philadelphia. But yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you all next time.